Hey, what's up? Welcome to episode 2 of the Loper Show podcast. And I just got to take a second to thank everybody out there. I mean, I'm beyond overwhelmed. I mean, you guys absolutely killed it with the numbers of the first podcast. It seemed like people were finding the video portion of the podcast really easy, but there were some questions, and I would like to address a few things that we were getting, especially on social media. People were wondering, can I get an audio-only version of the podcast? And the answer to that is absolutely. It's available on all podcast platforms, meaning Spotify. You can find it on iTunes. I mean, however you consume podcasts, iHeartRadio, it's all on there. So you guys can drive around the car, you can cruise, and bring the Loper Show anywhere that you go. Once again, man, thanks a lot. And follow me on social media so you guys can get the updates on what's going on with the show. So this is a really unique week, right? Like, we're going into Thanksgiving. Everybody's getting ready to spend time with the relatives. So hopefully I can get you in a good mood, whether you're cruising to your family dinner or you're just trying to get yourself ready to not talk politics, right? That's what we're not going to do this year, unless you're looking to take a couple people off your Christmas list. So right from the top, one of the things I wanted to get into, about a month ago, I went down to Orlando with Jen and we went to Halloween Horror Nights. Being from Florida, man, this was like a tradition. Every single Halloween, starting in September, they open up and they do Halloween Horror Nights after 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And it's just dope. I mean, they go into the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 10 different haunted houses. Generally speaking, if you don't get the fast pass, you're not going to see every haunted house. But I mean, even if you did 5, they are so tremendous. I mean, think about it. If you're in the Ohio area, we have some really great ones like Carnage. You have the Blood Prison up in Mansfield. And if you took all of those and you put them in one park, that's what Halloween Horror Nights is. And it's really cool. They're also getting ready to open up a brand new park in Universal called Epic, which is not going to be on property with Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. It looks really cool. They have the Super Mario Brothers land over there. All of the original horror monsters like Dracula, Frankenstein will have his own little area of the park. The Bride of Frankenstein. I mean, you think about it, they have it. The werewolf. I mean, everybody, right? But what's coming to Las Vegas is Halloween Horror Nights all year long, 365. So they're going to have it in the Area 15 spot in Las Vegas, which is just off the Strip. And it's basically like the entertainment district in Las Vegas. And they're going to have this huge warehouse that they're making into a Halloween Horror Nights exhibit that will basically scare the crap out of you for the entire year, which I cannot wait. See, I love going to Vegas. If I do Vegas, and everybody has their own different approach to Vegas, but my approach to Vegas is always, I want events going on. Yeah, fine, I'll gamble a little bit. Definitely want to hit the pool. They have some of the best spas in the world, but I need an event to look forward to at night. So the last time I went to see the Deuces Wild tour with Aerosmith when I was in Vegas, and I was so lucky because Steven Tyler fell off the wagon a couple weeks after I was there, and they canceled that whole tour. But it was dope. It was at the Park MGM, and you go in and they're doing this special show that is Aerosmith live in Vegas. It's a residency. And if you've never seen a residency, it's a really cool experience. So I like that kind of thing, like an appointment. So, you'll do something like that one night, and this Halloween Horror Nights thing that will be a permanent fixture in Las Vegas is another one of those things that will just be, boom, that's what we're doing on said night. And hey, count me in as soon as they open. So one of my friends, Corey Gregory, who owns Max Muscle Fitness, I think it's called actually. Yeah, so he was originally the vice president of Muscle Farm back in the day. And this is a guy who has been self-made, from Ohio, and just absolutely done the thing and done it huge. So he had this big opening party a couple of weeks ago that I was invited to. It's out on Buckeye Lake, and literally Corey Gregory bought an island. It's called Muscle Island. And we went out there, me and my buddy Matt Brown from the UFC and my friend Tony Ramos and what's up, Carlene. We had a great time. So first of all, you have to water taxi to Corey's private island, appropriately dubbed Muscle Island. And when we got out there, man, he had a full-on DJ, a whole setup. So he has online subscribers and people that follow him and people that are the top tier subscribers were invited to this party where it was totally catered. People that were drinking got free drinks. I mean, it was off the chain. He even had an artist in from Nashville to perform. I mean, it was top tier. I just wanted to give a shout out. Muscle Island on Buckeye Lake. If you ever get a chance to go, you're definitely not going to be disappointed. So mentioning Corey Gregory and muscles and fitness and everything that you try to do to stay in shape, let me just take it to the opposite realm. So McDonald's is bringing back the McRib. Yuck. I'm trying to think if I've ever had a McRib. It's just like, I mean, is that a rib? Is that pork? Is that gelatin? What are we doing here, man? I mean, I'm not so sure. But they're also going to start selling half-gallon jugs of the McRib sauce. Yikes. Just when you thought that things could not get any messier, are we going to get RFK in charge of Make America Healthy again? If so, I have his first assignment. Gallons of McRib sauce? No, America, no. What are we doing? And I want you to leave it in the comments below, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're watching. I mean, number one, have you had a McRib? And do you like it, number two, enough to go buy a gallon of McRib sauce? Whew. Seems like quite the investment. So on the first podcast, we talked about Jellyroll and how he's, just absolutely everywhere now. On the cover of People magazine this month. It's kind of nuts. And we were talking about how he'll be the first ever Nashville native to have their own honky tonk named after them on Lower Broadway. Well, they're going to turn it up a notch even more. Jellyroll's honky tonk is not only going to have live music, cold drinks like every other place on Broadway, but you're going to be able to get tattoos. I mean, what? Just when you thought you couldn't make enough bad decisions in Nashville on Broadway, Jellyroll comes in and takes it up a notch. So if you're feeling it, or maybe you want to get something covered up, I can think of something I'd like to get covered up. Maybe you do it on Lower Broadway when you go on your trip, on your guys' golf trip, or ladies, when you go out for your bachelorette parties. That is totally what Broadway is. It's like the Pied Piper of bachelorette parties. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Fellas, if you're single, go to Broadway and just cruise the street. You might end up with a tattoo or a new girlfriend. Who knows? I don't know if you guys can tell or not. Can you see it in my eyes? I don't know if you guys can see that the camera's close enough, but I literally almost did not make the podcast. Yeah. Like I almost did not make it to my second Loper show. It's kind of ridiculous. So I was taking a shower, and for some reason I decided to shave my back before I came because, you just can't get more vain than that, right? So I have this like tool that I use when I shave my back. It's almost like, it looks like a back scratcher, but it has blades on the end, like razors. I know, it's ridiculous. Okay, it's ridiculous. Yeah, so I'm using this thing, right? And I'm like, taking the hair off, so smooth back, just in case I got to swim away from something. Or I really don't even know why I do it, but it's aesthetics, right? Like, some people love a hairy back, not me. Okay, I'm trying to X that out, guys. I'm in the shower getting ready to get down to business, right? And I take the shaving cream. And this is a brand new bottle, okay? Gillette. And I've never had this happen to me, by the way. Whether it's shaving my face or shaving any part of my body, using shaving cream, never happened to me before. So I put my hand out, grab the shaving cream like anyone else, right? I go to spray it. This shaving cream came out so fast, so furious, and with so much power, it bounces off my hand, hits me in the eye. Literally hits me in the eye so hard. I thought somebody came in like with some kind of high-powered like super soaker or something like that. Hit me in the eye. I fall to the to the ground of the fucking bathtub, right? So I'm laying there fishing out on the floor of my shower. I don't know if you've ever had shaving cream deep in your eye, because a lot of it has like that almost like a menthol sort of feel to it. Yeah, it's nice when it's on your neck. It's nice when it's on your nether regions. But when it gets inside your eyeball, I mean, guys, there are a few things I have ever felt that hurt so bad. And I didn't know that I was going to come back from this. I got to be honest. I really didn't think I was going to. I thought I was going to have to call in sick to my own podcast. I'm sitting there. It took me 25 minutes to get this shit out of my eyeball. It was so far in. I'm sitting there like I'm opening my eye underneath the water. I mean, it was so. I'm glad no one was there, and I don't even know why I'm telling anyone this. Now it's going to be all over, obviously online. But It was one of the most embarrassing things, and no one was even there. I was so fucking embarrassed. It was unbelievable. Literally, I'm on the ground, a grown man. I'm on the ground. I dropped myself trying to shave my back. So I would like to put out a little bit of a caution. So if you have any brand new bottles of Gillette, you might want to take a practice, just a practice squirt. You know what I mean? Does it get any more vain than that? I mean, come on. Like, it's so ridiculous. I was almost blinded. I mean, could I sue them? I got to get with Steve Palmer and find out. So if you're somebody that listens in Columbus, Ohio, one of our traditions in Columbus, Ohio, it's really like the start to the summer here. We have a huge festival. Originally, it was called Rock on the Range, and it was originally a 2-day festival turned into 3 days. And they ended up switching the name right before the pandemic and renamed it Sonic Temple. And so the lineup has come out. It's going to be sick. Metallica's playing 2 nights. Korn, you got Linkin Park, Alice in Chains, Rob Zombie, Incubus, Bad Omens, Mastodon. I mean, like, you name it, in hardcore, heavy metal, just generally rock music, in alternative music. Some of the biggest names that literally exist are playing this festival. And it's put on by a company called Danny Wimmer Presents. And they do a few different festivals around the country, like Aftershock out on the West Coast. And they do Welcome to Rockville down in Florida. Actually, it happens in Daytona at the Daytona Motor Speedway, where they do the Daytona 500. And it's kind of cool. So, like, the lineup differs a little bit from festival to festival. So we'll get we'll get Sonic Temple here in Columbus on the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th of May and 25. And then literally the next weekend is Welcome to Rockville in Daytona Beach. I would love to go to both. Like I said, the lineups are a little different, and I'll get to that here in a second. But last year was the first year they did 4 days. And I don't know, guys, if I'm just like getting a little bit older at 43 years old, but holy shit, 4 days was a really long time to be at a festival. I mean, like, 3 days, I felt like we were tight at 3 days. It was a very tight 3 days, killer band after killer band after killer band. They stretched it to 4, and I'm not saying, you know what, actually, I guess it was the year before they went to 4 days. So this was the second year that it was 4 days. But still, like, going to 4 days, still killer band after killer band after killer band. But I don't know about you guys, but by Saturday and Sunday, I was like, every day I wake up, I'm like, I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I mean, it was intense. 4 days, I just felt like it stretched it out just a little bit too long, but listen, I'm not complaining because the lineups are so dope. And one of the things that differs from Sonic Temple to Welcome to Rockville is the addition of Marilyn Manson. So Marilyn Manson is playing the final night in Daytona Beach at Welcome to Rockville, and I really want to go. Listen, I just saw Manson, so he played with Five Finger Death Punch and Slaughter to Prevail. I saw that show in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena, right on Broadway, and it was so dope. It was crazy, too, because, you know, Marilyn Manson, if you remember, was kind of canceled, right? Like, Marilyn, you know, all that weird tying chicks up and putting them in cages stuff that was going on, or supposedly going on. Marilyn Manson disappeared for a couple of years, and you didn't really hear from him. I mean, before that, he was everywhere, right? Remember, he was on, like, Sons of Anarchy. I mean, he was really kind of expanding his acting career quite a bit. And then he just, I think, did the most brilliant thing when you get canceled. He just kind of dropped off the face of the earth. And even touring with Slaughter to Prevail and Five Finger Death Punch, he was the middle act, right? So Slaughter went on first, and then Manson, and then Five Finger Death Punch headlined the show. It was interesting because you didn't see him do a lot of media. And I thought that was kind of brilliant because it was like he was back, but he wasn't out there like throwing it in anybody's face, you know, like, oh, you tried to cancel me. You didn't cancel me. And he just took to the stage and absolutely killed it. Actually, if you go onto my Instagram, I have a Insta vlog on there of the concert, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. But Manson was better than I've seen him in like 10 years. I mean, even going back to like the early 2000s, like Marilyn Manson was so on point. So if you make it for all my Florida audience that watches the podcast or listens to the podcast, if you're going to make it to Welcome to Rockville, I strongly suggest that you get the Sunday tickets because Marilyn Manson, it's like almost like reborn again. The whole band sounds amazing. And I'm not sure he's changed the band so many times over the years. I'm not totally sure who's in the band, but whoever it is, I mean, they were absolutely fucking killing it. And he was just on point vocal wise and performance wise. It was literally one of the best Marilyn Manson performances I've seen in maybe ever, to be quite honest with you. So if I did make it, because obviously I'm going to go to all 4 days of Sonic Temple, but if I do make it to Welcome to Rockville even one day, bet your ass it's going to be Sunday. Now, speaking of bands and hard rock music, I took my youngest son, Knox, to go glow golfing. Do you guys know what this is? Like, some people call it black light mini golf. So they have over at Tuttle Mall, which I just found out, they're going to destroy, right? And build apartments there. And if you've been to Tuttle Mall lately, it definitely feels like it's about to get destroyed. I mean, talk about a ghost town. Anyway, so they have this place over there. What is it called? Like Scene 75. So they have 2 blacklight, glow in the dark mini golf courses over there. So Knox and I head over and we had a killer time, man. I mean, if you have never seen it before, you can check out my Instagram. I have some videos on there that you guys can check out. But the best one I've ever been to, blacklight mini golf, is in Vegas at the Rio. So if you're planning on doing a Vegas trip, go to the Rio and go all the way to the back, like where the restaurants are and where the arcade is. And you'll see a Kiss official, themed, licensed Kiss glow in the dark mini golf. Unfucking believable. I mean, that was the highlight. I took my family out there a few years ago, and all of my kids absolutely went nuts for the Kiss glow in the dark black light mini golf. I mean, it was, maybe I was the one going the most nuts, but I'm just saying, it was pretty cool. And if you get a chance, that is definitely something you want to do. Maybe even, hey, you talk about it over Thanksgiving, right? Thanksgiving coming up this week. You say, family trip idea this year. Let's go to Vegas. We'll hit the Rio and do Kiss glow in the dark mini golf. Why wouldn't you, man? So speaking of Thanksgiving, I have some Thanksgiving facts that I'd like to go over here. This is kind of like maybe some fodder that you can use over the Thanksgiving holiday as you're sitting there and trying not to talk about politics with your family. Try not to talk about the most recent election. So Thanksgiving, the first one, 1621. It was like Woodstock, 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. Have you guys ever heard this? They would call Wednesday Drinksgiving. Now, so ever since I can remember, everyone that would go away to college or move out of town would always come back to whatever city they lived. Like when I lived in West Palm, like downtown West Palm would be crazy the Wednesday night before Thursday's Thanksgiving, right? That would be the best night of going out the entire year. I think that's kind of where Drinksgiving came from. But in 1621, lasted 3 days. And, you're thinking, oh, turkeys and cranberries and pumpkin pies. I doubt any of that stuff was on the table. It's probably more like seafood, goose, swans, passenger pigeons, nuts, ducks, and actual pumpkins, but no pumpkin pie, so to speak. And the Pilgrims were not really pilgrims. I mean, they were Puritans. And the biggest question of all, did they wear that stupid buckle on their hat? No, they did not. That didn't even come in style until like almost a century later. So what you would have seen is a big hat. And most of the Puritan pilgrims would wear that hat to keep the water off their face when it would rain in the New England area. They did wear it mostly the black and white. I think that's pretty accurate. You see them in the black and white get up. And occasionally you might have like the lace up boots. You think so? Maybe. I wasn't there. So no turkey, no sweet potatoes, no mashed potatoes. Nothing that we really love today. And actually, this is kind of wild, man. Lincoln established Thanksgiving in 1863. It was Sarah Hale who was the one who actually convinced Lincoln. She campaigned for like 10 years to get Thanksgiving to be a holiday. And she thought after the Civil War in the United States was so divided that we could use a holiday that would bring us all together. So after the war at Gettysburg, Lincoln goes, you know what? That's a dope ass idea, Josephina. I mean, what a name too. Sarah Josephina Hale. Wow. He goes, that's a great idea. Signed it right into action and made Thanksgiving an official holiday. Now, no one was watching the Macy's Day Parade back then, of course, But the Macy's Day Parade, the first one ever, actually did not feature any giant balloons, believe it or not. Featured animals from the Central Park Zoo. So you would be on the streets of New York and just like, here comes a bunch of ostriches and elephants cruising up, cruising up the streets of New York, which, I mean, not opposed to bringing that back. Let's be honest. It was during World War II that they stopped using balloons for a little while because they started to use all of the rubber that they would make the balloons with when they finally did start to use them. They paused during World War II to use the rubber for the war efforts. And I know it's on the tip of your tongue. You're going, who was the first ever balloon? Who was the first balloon? That would have been 1937, Felix the Cat. Can you imagine how horrific that must have looked? It was interesting, too. So, like, when they first started the Macy's Day Parade, like Felix the Cat and all these first balloons they would actually let them go at the end. How terrifying is that if you live in Connecticut or New Jersey? These giant balloon monstrosities come flying over your house. I mean, it's either a party or that's like the biggest nightmare I've ever heard of. And when you look at your turkeys, you got to wonder, do male and female turkeys both gobble? And there's a debate about this, and they both do gobble. It's just the males gobble more, and they usually gobble more during the spring because they're trying to assert their dominance. Because, I mean, you know, if you're going to assert your dominance, gobbling's the way to go. I think it's also to attract a mate, but some facts for you as you're sitting around the Thanksgiving Day table that will not get you in trouble and not distance you from any of your relatives. So certain folks love during the holidays to go see movies, right? I mean, I don't know if Thanksgiving is your movie holiday or not, but if it is, Wicked, which is in the Wizard of Oz family of stories, but unlike Taylor Swift's Era tour, they don't want anyone singing at the movie theater. Or like the latest Joker movie. I mean, the latest Joker movie may have been the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's really close. I've never sat at a movie wishing it was over more than the Joker. Like, I couldn't believe, like, I was like, this is a musical. How is this a musical? Like, based off the first movie, how like sick and twisted and demented and a look inside of a person that is disturbs mind that the first film was compared to the second Joker, unbelievable. But you may have sang during the Joker. I mean, listen, Lady Gaga was singing the whole fucking time, okay? But they did not want you singing at all during Wicked. Do not even think about it. So when the movie drops around Christmas time, you know, if you got a musical relative that you're thinking about taking, maybe leave them at home because that's definitely not going to work. Guys, as we get on in the podcast, as we get to episode 3, we're going to get closer and closer to extending this out to an hour. I kind of talked about that in the first podcast. These first few, I really just kind of wanted to get the audience back and get you guys used to what I'm doing here, not only with the audio portion, which you can find on all major podcast platforms, but get in touch with the video aspect of things. And that's what I really love. And I feel like this is expanded not only what I'm doing, but the experience that we can have together as the show. So I really appreciate it. Please, if you guys will, make sure you share this. If you're listening to it on audio, if you're listening to it on video or watching it on video, rather, just please share it with your friends and let people know that might not know that the Loper Show is back and it's out there. Coming up on the next episode 3, we're going to have number 2. Yeah. One of the greatest MLS players of all time, my brother, Frankie Hayduck from the Columbus Crew, 2-time national team member, World Cupper. I mean, Frankie played all over Europe, and some of the stories that he has are second to none. And man, just an incredible guy and an absolute legend here in Columbus, Ohio. So on the next episode, we welcome Frankie Hayduck. My name's Loper. Thanks so much. Follow me on social media. You can get it all below in the description. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We're on Twitter or X now. And make sure that you find us and come follow me, man, because this journey it's me and you. And I really appreciate you guys being here. We're up one time.